Nice to
Hi.
meet you. Lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Sophia. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. For everyone who is hopping on the live right now, I'm Taylor with Beauty Queens Galore, the pageant resource, and we're joined by the beautiful Miss Earth Canterbury, Sofia Mayers, and she's headed into the Miss Earth England competition. So, Sophia, for those who are getting to know you for the first time, who are you beyond the crown?
So, first and foremost, I am Sofia Mayers. I am 26 years old. I reside in the beautiful Garden of England, which is Canterbury. And for those of you that don't know, I'm actually an international beauty pageant coach as well as a full-time model.
Awesome. Now, let's talk a little bit about who you are for those who are just joining us. Can you tell us what drives you, what you're passionate about, and how you define yourself?
Oh, this is incredible. First and foremost, thank you so much for having me as well on the live. I'm so excited to be here. So for me, the thing that drives me to do pageantry is a sense of community. So first and foremost, it would have to be community, as well as my advocacy as well. This is something in which is so close and near and dear to my heart that I think that this is the true purpose of a beauty queen. That yes, we all love to get glammed up, the hair, the makeup, the outfits, but I think beauty pageant, like pageants at its core, truly is about advocacy. And for me, I naturally have always advocated for animal welfare, stopping violence and harm against animals, specifically animal testing. So this is something in which I'm bringing to the table at Miss Earth England this year, and this is something I'm truly incredibly excited to showcase to everyone.
You've had such a dynamic journey from international stages to coaching, like you mentioned, and now Miss Earth Canterbury. So, what inspired your comeback this year?
So, after I was fortunate enough to compete at Miss Grand International in 2022, feels like a lifetime since I've been on stage. I also think having the opportunity to coach so many incredible people on a daily basis that naturally, as we all do, I think that everyone has been a victim at points of the pageant bug, in which I thought, do you know what? One last time, let's give it all I've got. And as I said, I am 26 years old, so this is my last chance to do Miss Earth International as well as Miss Earth England. So I thought I always encourage all of my girls to shoot for the stars and to really pursue their dreams. Miss Earth has been something in which I've always held very, very close to my heart. I've always admired their core values, and I just knew that I couldn't miss this opportunity. So I took the plunge, I sent off my application, and here I am today. So I'm extremely excited on this journey, and I'm competing on the 26th of July. So I don't have that long, but I'm having the best time as a finalist.
Yes, and it's coming up very quickly, like you said. Now, this is not your first interaction with any sort of competition that leads to an international competition. At Miss Grand International, you made headlines for strutting in ballerina shoes. What inspires you to take such a bold and creative risk?
So, first and foremost, I would have to give credit to my mother as well as my national director, in which they encouraged me to do this further. They said, Sophia, this is Miss Grand International. Anything goes, do it. And I said, okay, I trust you, I will. So, a little bit of a backstory. I have done ballet and all forms of dance since the age of 5 years old. So it's been something that I've been really passionate about and that I continued into my adult life. That yes, I still participate in ballet even at the old age of 26. It's just something that's naturally stuck with me, that there's multiple videos in which I will definitely be sharing very, very soon on my social media of myself at 5 years old twirling around. I think coming from a musical theatre background in which I always loved performing, that it truly felt like second nature. So yes, it definitely did make me stand out at Miss Grand International. In addition to this, I think it was a very brave move to walk down those glass stairs in a pair of pointe shoes. So I do commend my past self for that, because it was quite a bold
Yes,
move.
bold and something that makes you memorable, of course, as well. Now, Miss Grand is all about performance and showmanship, which why it makes for a good move, while Miss Earth leans into a softer and more grounded expression of femininity. What has the transition been like for you creatively and personally?
So, as an individual, I truly love Miss Grand International. Of course, I do. It's my first ever Grand Slam. However, I personally found that yes, they wanted more of the performance aspect, in which I love coming from a performing background. However, for me, like I've previously said, pageantry is all about advocacy. That I would rather any day of the week get down, get dirty, helping people within my community, planting trees, rather than actually necessarily participating in the photo shoots, the media side of things. That for me, that is the heart of a beauty queen. So actually, the transition has been very, very simple, in which it's bringing me back to the core values and who Sophia Mayers is as an individual. I've been fortunate enough to be part of the pageant community for way over a decade, so I've got much experience within this industry, and it's grounded me more and made me realize this is who I want to be in pageantry, and this is who I am as an individual.
I love that. And it really speaks to who you are as a person and your purpose when it comes to pageants. So we've talked about kind of the mindset and the advocacy part of that transition. But how have you adjusted your training and your mindset as you prepare to compete on the Miss Earth stage? Because we know Miss Grand International is very performance heavy, whereas Miss Earth would probably be a little bit more on what people usually see with pageants.
Yes. So I actually love the classic pageantry element to Miss Earth England as well as Miss Earth International. I truly believe it's about showcasing, yes, the best version of you, that yes, there is a technique that comes into that, in which I've already got some of my routines prepared for finals, of course. Naturally, I love to be prepared, but it's been such a wonderful process being able to really think about who I am as an individual. Not necessarily, yes, of course, as we know as pageant girls, you do need to think about the outfits and the styling that comes into it. Of course we do. However, it's more about what I bring to the table. I'm actually really looking forward to onstage question. That's something in which I'm like, I'm ready. Give me the microphone, please. I can't wait. So the preparation has been going beautifully, and it's been nice to really showcase what I can do as an individual on the stage. So it's been a really, really beautiful journey so far.
You touched a little bit on your advocacy and why you're so excited to compete with the Miss Earth organization because of the touch on advocacy. Now, you've introduced Pawless Beauty as your Miss Earth platform. Can you share more about what inspired this campaign and why animal rights mean so much to you?
Thank you so much for the question. So, coming from a background in which, for those of you that don't know, I'm actually a vegan. I have been vegan since I was 16 years old, in which most of my friends when I was at college and university said, Sophia, this is never going to last, that you will break this, you will not be vegan forever, in which I have been for a very, very long time. So when it came to, I wouldn't even say choosing an advocacy, for me, this was just second nature. That when I thought, what is Miss Earth to me? It's about speaking about causes in which are so important, in which sometimes within the pageant community are never spoken about. I've heard people previously touch upon this before, but I believe that I'm fortunate enough to have a fantastic platform on my social media. And I thought, I am the one that I can create change, I can create impact. That, as I've previously stated, as beauty queens, we love to look nice and glamorous. The hair, the makeup, the lashes, the everything. But at what cost does this come? That we always say, oh, beauty is pain, but it's not necessarily our pain, it's the pain of animals. And as someone that I've always advocated and stood up for, yes, of course, animal rights. There's many, many videos of myself as a child, even with the tiniest insects, me defending them, which is very, very funny, which I will be posting this up. So you'll have to watch out for that one. But it's something that naturally comes to me. Many years ago, even when I was actually preparing for Miss Grand International, I was fortunate enough to go to Mexico, and I was waiting for my flight back, just about to leave our accommodation. And my friends called me and said, Sophia, there's a stray dog on the beach. I dropped my cases and I ran as if my life depended on it. Everyone was too scared to touch this poor dog, in which it had extreme mange. It was so malnourished that I nearly missed my flight. And I said, I don't care if I miss my flight. I'm making sure that this dog is looked after. It may be just one animal, but to me, that animal has a level of consciousness. It has a life. And why should my life matter more than its? Why should anyone else's lives matter? So I was fortunate enough that I had multiple contacts out there, as I just visited a dog rehabilitation centre, and I paid for all of this animal's medical bills, in which this is something that I find myself doing quite often. I'm known in my local area for rescuing dogs, in which I actually rescued one, I want to say about a week ago, in which we found on the street. So for me, bringing this to Miss Earth England is such a natural thing in which I could quite literally I could talk for England about it. I really, really could, because I'm naturally passionate about it. And when I am coaching my girls on a regular basis, I always say, you need an advocacy in which, first and foremost, it makes you angry. If you aren't angry about a particular topic, I know that you couldn't talk about it all day long, in which animal rights and animal welfare, this has been naturally ingrained in me since birth. I will probably say since birth. So for me, it's second nature, and I am determined to make waves within pageantry as well as within my community as well, to really advocate for change, that this goes beyond a beauty pageant. I'm not just doing this advocacy for Miss Earth England, I'm doing it because I believe that it's the right thing and change needs to happen.
It is so clear that you are passionate about animals and the welfare of animals as well, even just through the screen. So I can only imagine what it will reverberate in person in front of the judges and in front of an audience. Now, one of my favorite things about our interviews is when you queens are able to talk about your advocacy, there's so much education that comes from that. And with Pawless Beauty, you mentioned that when it comes to us being beautiful, beauty is pain, but it's not always necessarily our pain. Talk to us about animal cruelty, because I think sometimes people think animal cruelty when it comes to makeup specifically means they're putting lipstick on the dogs or putting a blush on the animals, but that's not what it is. Tell us about that.
So I think it's really important to realise that as the community, as the public, there's not the education out there. That yes, of course, there are educational pages on social media, but if you aren't actively seeking that out, you might not know what's going on. Even as someone that has always promoted making sure that things are cruelty free, making sure that it has the Leaping Bunny approved logo, I will be honest, I find it hard to watch those videos. As an animal advocate, it really pulls on my heartstrings. So I know what it's like as an individual to go, I don't want to look at that, that's too much. But then if we don't take note of what is happening, then we are promoting in a way, and we are encouraging this cruelty to continue. So I think it's about, first and foremost, yes, educating ourselves, but really, what is animal cruelty? That no, it is not a bunny rabbit getting their nails painted with gel polish. It's nothing along the lines of that. That the products in which we consume on a daily basis, whether that be beauty products or anything of the sort, these aren't just tested physically on animals. Sometimes they're injected, sometimes they are fed different substances. Let's take a lipstick, for example. A lipstick isn't just made from natural products, in which, yes, there are some out there which are. There's so many different chemicals in which hold that lipstick's beautiful, prestigious shape. The way that we put it on, it feels immaculate, it feels perfect. But what actually goes into that, the amount of chemicals used to formulate that shape, to formulate that signature colour in which us pageant girls love to wear at our events and on stage, what goes into that? Where have those chemicals been tested? That truly, it is heart-wrenching and it turns my stomach. It makes me feel physically sick when I've seen some of the different things that happen. There is actually a centre not that far from me in which tests on animals, in which I will be going down there. Of course, I will naturally not be allowed in the building, because even though, no, I do not believe in breaking the law, I would happily take all the animals out of there given the opportunity. However, seeing the videos online, and then I've had conversations with some of the activists outside in which they are peaceful protests. This is essential to realise that no one is breaking the law, no one is breaking into there, that they just stand outside peacefully protesting, in which the organisation which tests on the animals is aware of this. They don't put a stop to it because there is freedom of speech in this country. We're fortunate enough to have freedom of speech. But it's a 24-hour protest the whole time. There is someone there all the time, and I've spoken to them. I've said, I think that what you're doing is wonderful, because otherwise you wouldn't truly realize what is going on inside those buildings. And as awful as it sounds, but if this reaches even one person out there that maybe makes them consider, what products am I putting in my face, am I contributing to the harm of animals? You can hear the dogs and the monkeys and the rabbits. You can hear the sound of pain from outside the building. Now, bear in mind, let's think of this logically, that there'll be several different walls and containers in which they're kept in, but you can hear that from standing outside. And I think that that is truly impactful. Now, yes, I will be going down there, and I know that that's going to be a tough day for me emotionally. However, it's a tough day for all of those animals. So I need to be the voice for the voiceless, and I need to stand up for what I believe in, and I need to ultimately stand up for them.
Now, you're protesting outside of the facility, but what are some simple ways people can support cruelty-free beauty and align with ethical consumerism?
So it's so simple. I've personally, before I promoted this online, I did all of my research. I made sure that, okay, right, what beauty products out there that are affordable? Because, hey, Sophia, I can't afford to buy cruelty-free makeup or cruelty-free products. It's too expensive. Elf. Elf is such a fantastic brand.
Love
It's cruelty-free, it's vegan, and it's a drugstore brand. So that means that it's accessible to pretty much everyone. But Sophia, I like my Estee Lauder. I like my expensive, luxurious brands. One brand which is actually really, really fantastic for being cruelty free and they've got vegan products is actually Too Faced, in which I'm wearing their lovely mascara today. But there's so many wonderful products out there. For example, you do have Fenty Beauty, in which, yes, it's cruelty free, not all of their products are vegan. Some of it does contain honey, which I know for some vegans they don't like to go for, which is absolutely fine. Personal preference, that's important. But there's so many brands out there. But I think that it's important to just, the next time that you are going makeup shopping or shopping for your favorite beauty product, just turn over on the back and see, has it got that Leaping Bunny approved? Is it cruelty free? Is it vegan? However, one thing that I really, really want to get across, in which it's made me very, very upset to hear this news, there is an international brand out there, and I will not go slating any brands because that is not who I am as an individual, in which they promote themselves as being cruelty free. However, you then look into their sister branch and, no, we don't test on animals, but you've paid your sister branch to do that, but they've advertised themselves as being cruelty free. But they are not, because they are then paying somebody else to do it. So it is important to, yes, look on the back of our products, but also just do the tiniest bit of research. It doesn't take 5 minutes to do. Just Googling, is this cruelty free? Is it vegan? As simple as that. It takes 2 minutes. 2 minutes to end the suffering of animals, that you're not consuming those products. So there's nice, small, simple ways in which you can advocate without necessarily shouting about it, and just doing something as simple as buying from a company in which promotes animal welfare and is not harming animals.
Yeah, that really puts the challenge on the consumer just to do that quick search on whether or not the brand is cruelty free and vegan. And I love that you mentioned Elf. I have Elf on right now. It's so great.
Yes.
And if you use Elf, you'll save money too, because they are
Yes.
much less expensive than some of the brands that do test on animals.
Yes. Oh, that's amazing that you're wearing that.
Now, as someone who coaches other queens, do you feel extra pressure to deliver when you're the one competing?
I love this question. For me, as an individual, I practice what I preach. If I say to my girls, here's the great tactic to not get nervous when you're on stage, to really ultimately believe in yourself, I'm quite literally putting my teachings and my methods to the test. That I say to my girls, no one is you, and that is your superpower. And I think that it's very easy for, naturally, perhaps the judges, perhaps the community as a whole, to go, Sophia, you must feel so much pressure. For me, it's about humility, it's about integrity, and it's about fulfilling my purpose within pageantry as well. I feel as though that I've been put on this earth for a reason. Maybe God has put me on this earth for a reason. That I feel as though that my purpose goes far beyond pageantry. One of my favourite pageant questions, in which all of my girls have heard this at some point, is, in your opinion, what is the meaning of life? But for me, it's really, what's the purpose of my existence? Really, what is the purpose? Why am I here? For me, the purpose of my existence is to find my gift, but ultimately give that gift away, in which you can see some of my ladies in the background. So by me giving away this gift, I am creating that ongoing cycle of kindness, inclusivity, diversity. You would be surprised as well. And for those of you that are watching, beauty queens don't always start off as confident beings. They are sometimes shy individuals, in which they have experienced so much throughout their lives. Some of the most intellectual and fascinating characters I've met through pageantry and also through my coaching. That myself and my girls, we laugh together, we cry together, we share that human connection. But ultimately, I am showing them that, yes, I believe in you, but I also believe in me. I always say, your biggest cheerleader shouldn't be your family. It shouldn't be your pageant coach, even though I am. It should be yourself as an individual. That how could I expect anyone else to believe in me if I don't believe in me? So this is an opportunity for me to truly show what I can do in pageantry without the theatrics, without the dancing on point on stage, as much as I love it, just being truly raw and organic and authentically Sophia Mayers.
That's a great answer there and good inspiration for anyone watching who might want to be a coach or someone who already is a coach, because we have so many different walks of the pageant industry watching us today. Now, do you have a coach yourself, or do you rely on your own systems when you're preparing for competitions?
So I've been fortunate enough over the past few months to actually coach other coaches, which is a really strange notion for me. And also, it's one of the amazing coaches out in America, in which I said, "Girl, you are amazing. Why do you think that you need pageant coaching?" And she said, "I just want a second opinion." Now, as an individual, I actually haven't seeked out coaching by anyone. That I not only run a full-time business, of course, my pageant coaching. I do full-time modeling as well, in addition to preparing myself for my competition, that I truly as well believe in order to level up on my coaching, to make sure that my girls are getting the best service and the best outcome possible, I need to make sure and ensure that all of my teaching methods are effective, in which, yes, these are things in which I've learned over the years, having been in the pageant industry for way over a decade. But now it's crunch time. I'm putting every single teaching, every single method to the test, so then I can make sure that these methods are still working within not just UK pageantry, but also, if I'm lucky enough, please God, on an international level as well. Last year, I actually officially set up my coaching business. Now, I started from nothing. When I say nothing, I'd coached people in the past, of course, friends of friends, and just to help girls out because I wanted to see them do well and succeed within pageantry. So last year, I set up my coaching business. So I actually used to be working in a care facility, in a care home, looking after the elderly, in which I loved my job so much. However, I knew that I had a higher calling, that I'd fulfilled my purpose within the care industry, and I wanted to see how far I could get within the coaching industry. So I quit my job and I said, "Sophia, if you ever want to come back, please, we love you here." And I said, "I would be happy to volunteer always, 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 always." However, I started my coaching business having one client. That was the toughest thing I've ever done, knowing there's no other paycheck coming from anywhere else right now. Okay, yes, my modeling, but being a professional model, it isn't just job after job after job. You have to sometimes wait in between, very much like acting and being in the performing arts industry. I started off with one client and she believed in me, and we literally conquered so much together. And then I had another client, then another one, then 49 regional, national, and international title holders later. So 49 winners last year, and I don't even know off the top of my head the number for this year. I suddenly won the pageant coaching award at the peers within the UK, and I was so taken aback that there were so many deserving and incredible coaches there that evening, and I had just officially started my business. So within 1 year, 49 winners. That took a lot of work. When I tell you there was no sleep last year, there was no sleep at all, that I poured every fibre of my being. I truly put my heart and my soul into every single one of those girls, that it went far beyond a crown and a sash. I said, this is a job. You need to understand that to be a beauty queen is to, yes, be a brand ambassador for your organization, but what do you bring to the table? That a crown and a sash, this is just a uniform worn by a group of individuals that want to positively change the world. But how are you as an individual going to change the world? I always liken this to the very first Miss Universe, Miss Grand International, Miss Earth International. Those weren't actually ever prestigious titles, but it was those individuals that put in the hard work, the commitment, and the dedication that have created those iconic legacies. And I say to my girls, it doesn't matter if you are on a national level, on a regional level, I want you to do the exact same. Find your superpower and bring it forward. What's the legacy that you want to leave behind? In which I am so proud of every single one of my girls for being able to truly make change within pageantry, that they are using their voices positively and they've made some huge changes within their community. So I have used all of my teachings myself, pushed myself forward, and no matter what happens at the competition, this is really, really important to speak about. No matter what happens, placement, no placement, win, no win, I know that I've put my heart and soul into this. And for me, this goes way beyond pageantry. This is rediscovering my superpower. My superpower is kindness, it's human connection, and it's ultimately being able to be that voice for the voiceless. So no matter what happens, I know that I'll always stay true to myself, that I've always got a group of strong, powerful, and influential women behind me. So in my eyes, nothing could go wrong because I know who I am, I love who I am, and I love my girls dearly.
And you talk so highly of your girls, having coached 49 winners in the past year. Congratulations
Thank
on that. What's
you.
something your clients have taught you?
Do you know, the one thing that is really, really important, it doesn't matter who I'm coaching, it doesn't matter which age range either. I actually coached a 3-year-old earlier today, in which we had a wonderful time in the studio. But it is finding that human connection that I say to my girls, yes, of course, it matters what you've done preparation wise before the pageant, and then also during as well. That's important that, yes, we want to make sure we're nice and glam as well. But for me, the secret formula to doing well in your pageant is that human connection. It's truly within an interview. Let's take that for example. How quickly can you formulate a connection within that person? That what emotion are you provoking? That's really all it is. That I say you can't go wrong in an interview. The interview is a quiz all about you, and who knows you better than you? So it's nothing to worry about. That when you see it like that, and my girls have truly taught me that when we are having these conversations, I don't want surface level questions. I don't want you to answer anything perfectly. If anything, I say to my girls, let's chat about this particular question. Let's just have an open conversation to see your opinion, rather than trying to make everything sound perfect like we're on a radio interview. I don't know about you. I find this very fake. I find it very artificial. That I would rather my girls speak from the heart. That I say, as cringy as it sounds, but if you are truly speaking from here, you physically cannot go wrong, because it's your core beliefs, it's your core values, that you know why you should be the next queen. All you have to do is showcase that and wear your heart on your sleeve to the judges. And no matter what happens, you're a winner in my eyes, that you are a queen through and through. And it's just being able to communicate that message. So communication, and honestly, being able to feel something at your center. This is one thing as well. I always say to my girls, what's your center? That's something that I would love to know. It's that human connection, and this is so important for me. And as you can tell, I could talk about it all day long.
Now, what advice would you give to someone who is new to pageantry and may feel they're not enough or they struggle with imposter syndrome?
So, my very first beauty pageant that I ever entered, all the way back in, I believe, 2014 or maybe 13, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. No. So as people may look and go, oh, Sophia's done this and Sophia's done that. I was a first timer at one point in my life. Trust me, that I went on stage having no clue. I didn't know what a T pose was. I didn't know what a power pose was. I didn't really know that I should be looking at the judges. I was clueless. That my mother was actually a beauty queen from the 80s. So she represented our county with pride. So she was Miss Faversham, Miss Kenton Sussex, and Miss Queen of Queens. So she was an iconic beauty queen in the 80s. And I was scouted in a shopping centre. I went, Mum, please, 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 I really want to do it. I went to that international pageant, channel in the 80s, shall we say, that I had lovely curled hair that was not brushed out, blue eyeshadow, red lipstick, and a pink dress, and the biggest chunky necklace you could ever imagine. And I placed top 5. Don't ask me how, still to this day. It baffles me how I got that placement. I'm like, the judges must have seen something in me, because that would burn the photos. We won't look at them. But everyone has to start somewhere. That if you are a pageant newcomer out there thinking, these girls are good, how am I ever going to compete with them? How can I ever compete with girls that have done it religiously every single year? That you don't know unless you try. That honestly, what is your superpower? Is it the human connection? Is it kindness? Is it your authenticity? But there is always a space in pageantry for everyone. This is something that I'm really, truly passionate about. That everyone has to start somewhere. So if you are a pageant newcomer, I say go for it. I honestly, wholeheartedly say go for it. Better say oops than what if. That's my piece of advice.
Exactly. And even looking back on it and not really loving your look from your first pageant, you still made top 5. And I love that you said that. I didn't do the blue eyeshadow, but my first pageant, I did wear a red lipstick. No liner to soften it or anything like that, just straight red. Have no idea what I was thinking. But we look back and we laugh.
Yeah.
Now, what do you do to protect your peace and avoid burnout, especially balancing content creation, coaching, and competing?
So I actually, when I was competing at Grand, I got the nickname Duracell Bunny because I don't run out of energy. Even some of my girls' mothers say to me, Sophia, I have no idea. How do you do all of this? Let me tell you, I am very good at surviving off of zero sleep. I am a champion at this, that at Miss Grand International, I refuse to even lay down for the sleeping time when we got stuck in an airport somewhere, that I've learnt to sleep like this and then go. I'm very, I think as well, coming from a dancing background, that it's, you have to have stamina, you have to keep going, that it doesn't matter if you're tired, you need to have that really strong work ethic. But let's talk about the downtime, because I say this to my girls, and I say, most people will not say this to you, but I want you to take a break.
Mhm.
And they go, take a break? And I'm like, yes, that you have got appearance after fundraiser. I said, when are you taking time for you? Please take a day off. And they go, oh, but what about this and what about that? There's always time to catch up on things, that we can work through that. That also delegating tasks can really help. I say, give me the work. I'm rather stupidly say, give me the work. And then I end up with all these other tasks. But I'm fortunate enough to have such an incredible team. So I've got a brilliant team within my pageant coaching. So I've got admin, which really, really help as well. So if I were fortunate enough to be the next Miss Earth England, traveling all the way to internationals, I know that my beautiful business would be able to naturally turn over, as I've got a fantastic team behind me. But it does come down to a lot of determination, that I always say to myself, again, rather go, okay, I did everything that I humanly could, then what if I just done that? What if I just pushed that little bit harder? That yes, it's being able to determine, there's pushing yourself than there is going into burnout. That I have only one day off in a week, which sounds really crazy, but that day off, I promise you, is filled from early in the morning to late at night with all things Miss Earth England. But I think that if you're truly passionate about something, nothing ever feels like a sacrifice. And it doesn't feel like work, if that makes sense. It never feels like work, because this is just something that I'm passionate about, that I've been in this industry, like I said, a long time. It's just second nature to me. So no matter the outcome, I'm still going to keep pushing forward. And even after Miss Earth England, no matter the outcome, I'll still continue doing everything that I'm doing because I'm passionate about it.
Now, you have such a strong online presence. What's your creative process like when it comes to producing content and staying active on social media?
So I was fortunate enough when I was at college and university to actually study, first and foremost, fashion design and fashion atelier, creative, really, really creative subjects, also as well fine art, that I naturally, and this sounds such a bizarre notion, when I shut my eyes, I get these creative ideas come into my brain, and I truly do believe that it is a gift from someone up above there, giving me these ideas. But I always say to myself, Sophia, if you don't use this idea, somebody else will. In which I've seen it before, and it's happened, that I think that maybe God has given me this idea for a reason, that if I don't use it, somebody else will. So I actively try my absolute best to have the content creation days or content creation afternoons, that I am trying my best to always plan out all of my social media. Because again, I cannot be a hypocrite. If I tell my girls, you need to be posted on social media, that mine can't be like a ghost town online. So this is important, to come up with creative and original ideas, but within the beauty pageant community as well. So much has already been done, but I believe that so much, we still have the opportunity to still push further, and there's so much that hasn't been done. So I'm looking forward to posting even more
And
content.
as you mentioned that, as a title holder and someone who's been in the industry, what would you love to see more of from pageant platforms like ours or pageant blogs in general, whether that be content, support, or representation? We're always looking for feedback on how to grow.
So I think within the pageant industry in general, we need way more representation. This is something that I'm truly pushing for. That, as you can see somewhat in the background, I've got all of my lovely queens there. I have queens that they're petite queens. I have curved queens. I have full body tattooed queens. I have queens of every shape, size, color, race, everything. And I think that that's important within our industry, because let's say that we take it all the way back to when I was a little girl. If I saw someone competing in a beauty pageant, maybe it's Miss Earth International, and she was a beautiful mixed race lady with big curly hair, I would see myself in her and say, well, if she can do it, then I can do it. That's exactly who I want to be for the next generation of pageant girls coming into our community. But also, in addition to this, and this is again my personal opinion, I think that within every industry, such as creative arts, such as the dance industry, there's some form of panel to make sure that everything's running accordingly, that everything is safe for every individual, and that they make sure that there is inclusivity and also diversity. I would love to see one day, maybe it's not this year, maybe it's not in a few years to come. I mean, I'm manifesting, but I would love to see some kind of international panel to make sure that everyone is being clearly represented within our industry. Because if I was that little girl of 5 years old hating her naturally curly hair, but I saw Miss Earth International with a great big afro, I might have not have wanted to go down the route of trying to make myself look different to conform with everyone else. Even though I always loved my naturally curly hair, being told, oh no, you don't want to have your hair like that, your hair's not done. That I wear my curly hair with pride, that whether I have a silk press, whether I have a weave, I still know that I love my naturally curly hair, but it's being able to see representation within pageantry. This is something that definitely needs changing. However, one thing, and I've said this so many times within the UK community, is environment-based pageants. So many of my girls, I said, how come you haven't ever entered one of these pageants? Sophia, I know nothing about Miss Earth or nothing about Miss Environment. How would I even start? That you don't have to know everything, that nobody knows everything. Even maybe the actual internationals themselves, they haven't necessarily got the answers to everything, but it's about moving forward with purpose and just trying to make the world a better place. As cliche as that sounds, it's about trying and it's about pushing for change, that you don't have to know everything. So this is another thing in which I would love to see within not just UK pageantry, but also on an international basis, is the encouragement of more environment-based pageants, that it's not impossible and that it's just taking it one step at a time. It really, really is.
Yes, and we really value representation here on Beauty Queens Galore. So we're happy to interview queens like you and to continue doing so that someone else can feel seen when they see our interview. So thank you for that feedback. Now, if you could give one piece of advice to your younger self before your first pageant, what would it be?
So my first ever beauty pageant that I ever actually went to, with the strange eyeshadow and the very very weird mix of attire that I was wearing, I was so scared that I hid under a table. That they said, right, parents, you need to go. You've dropped the children off. You need to go. Mum, please don't leave me. I'm so scared. I had severe anxiety that I couldn't even go into a shop and talk to the cashier. I was too scared. So being left alone in a room full of gorgeous queens, I was naturally very scared. Not because they were beautiful, but because I didn't know them. So I think that it's important to realise that yes, everyone has to start somewhere, but also as well that it's natural to have some form of anxiety around pageants, because let's be honest, it's not something in which you do on a daily basis. If I'm being honest, that you wouldn't necessarily go up and do a pageant every single day of the week, day to day. It's not a natural notion, but I think it's being able to realise and take space and say, okay, I'm nervous because maybe I care. That it's important to realise that, again, every single queen, every single winner has started somewhere. They've probably started with anxiety, they've probably started with doubt. That I was very doubtful in myself when I was younger. I had to do a speech on stage in front of a few hundred people, and my mum said she won't even put her hand up in class. I love my child, but there's no way. I was on stage and it was shaking. I did it. It was not very good, if I'm being honest, as you can imagine, but I did it and I overcame that fear. So if I could go back to my very first pageant, or even pre-pageant Sophia, I would say to myself, no one is you, and that is your superpower. That it's okay to be different. That within the UK, pageantry isn't something, unless it's within our community, that has always been celebrated. Maybe in my mum's years in the 80s, yes, it was broadcast everywhere, but sometimes as a UK queen, you can experience a lot of negativity. I was fortunate enough that I didn't have any at school, that all of my friends and my peers were very supportive, but even some of the public, I've had so many different comments said to me over the years, but it's been able to be strong and to be unshakable within pageantry. That yes, you are going to meet people that have got different opinions to yourself, but that is the beauty of life. If we all had the same opinion, my goodness, what a boring earth we would live on. But it's being able to speak to your younger self and say, you're exactly on the right path, that everything happens for a reason, and never stop believing in you as an individual, that being different is your superpower. It really is.
Now, on that note, knowing everything you know now, what's one thing you wish you knew before that first pageant?
That I don't have to conform as to what I think the perfect queen is. That I was so concerned, and we've all been there. We've all been there in varying degrees of thinking, I need to give the perfect pageant answer. I need to smile. I need
Yeah.
to. No, be authentic, be raw. That it doesn't matter. Speak your truth, even if your voice shakes. That is something that I will carry with me. When I was on stage with my last pageant, it was of all people, and I think that you could probably put my teeth in, with me here. My hairdresser, when I was at my last Grand Slam pageant, she said to me, Sophia, when you stand on stage and you say United Kingdom, I want you to stand tall like a giant, that you're not just representing you, you're representing every single woman that's been put down, told that she can't, every single mixed race or woman of colour on the planet right now. You are standing for us, so do not be afraid. Stand tall like a giant. And when I tell you, I had not 1 ounce of fear. I was completely fearless that this is something, and this is a notion which I carry with me within pageantry on a day-to-day basis, that I'm unshakable. I am fearless because I'm not just here representing me, I'm here representing my advocacy and all of the beautiful women in which I've been able to impact over the years.
Well, it was so awesome getting to know a little bit more about who you are and your advocacy. Before we go, we're going to do a quick game of this or that. So I'll give you two options and you just tell me which one, okay?
Okay,
Volunteer day or glam photo shoot?
volunteer day.
Phone call or text?
Phone call.
Confidence or kindness?
Kindness.
Dress or jumpsuit?
Jumpsuit.
Underdressed or overdressed?
Underdressed.
Netflix or Hulu?
Netflix.
Gold or silver accessories?
Gold.
Solo travel or a group trip?
Group trip.
Vintage or modern fashion?
Vintage.
Red or nude lipstick?
Nude.
Personal stylist or dress yourself?
Dress yourself.
Awesome. Awesome, Sophia. Well, thank you again for letting us get to know more about who you are and all of the advocacy work you're doing, as well as your business side of things. And do you mind sharing how we can stay connected to you during the competition and after?
Yes, of course. So my personal Instagram, as we're live here, is Sophia_Mayers1. In addition to this, you can take a little look at Miss Earth England's Instagram, in which hopefully there will be a live, and maybe also on our Facebook page as well. So please make sure to follow my personal journey as well as all of my fellow contestants' journey as well. That's really, really important. So follow all of our journeys. Please give our Miss Earth England page a follow and share lots of positivity.
Awesome. Thank you again, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so wonderful. Lots of love to all the Beauty Queens Galore page. So thank you so much for having me.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.